Welcome back to the ShabinLife. So in the last episode, Dayna and I stained the plywood floors, and in this episode we're going to get started with applying the polyurethane. We decided to use a blend, so we're going to use kind of what is considered a wipe-on poly. So it's a 50% polyurethane, 50% mineral spirit mix. We're just going to give it a shot and see how it turns out. And I couldn't find too many videos online with people trying the wipe-on poly on the floor. Sometimes you can avoid sanding in between coats. So we're gonna give it a shot and see how it turns out. We've got the mix all ready for this morning. It's been sitting for maybe the last half an hour or so, just so that all the bubbles can kind of make their way out of the mix. And we're gonna get started in our bedroom as we always do. That way, if there's any mistakes, they're way back in the corner in our room where no one can see them. So let's get started. So I'm not gonna be able to walk in because I don't have my slippers on just yet. So I'm just gonna turn the camera so you guys can check it out. All right, so you can kind of see like there's a sheen on the floor. And then obviously there's some areas where you can tell it was a little light. And again, if this was just one coat of poly, it would be a whole different story. But the fact that it's the blend, you know, that mix of the 50% polyurethane, 50 mineral spirits, you know, obviously the wood is soaking up more and it's not going on as heavy as it might have been when you just did a normal coat of polyurethane. But as we slowly put these coats on, it'll start to look more and more like a normal coat of poly. But no bubbles, no nothing. Went over the whole floor this morning. Looks really pretty. So we're gonna get started, and then we'll try and maybe bring you back after each coat so you can see the buildup. Otherwise, we'll bring you back closer to the end. But catch you guys in a little bit. So today would be the third coat that we're gonna put on the floor. I went up this morning to take a quick look, and it seems like the second coat's nice and dry. Got a little bit of snow coming in, but you can definitely tell that that second coat made a big difference on the buildup. You can start to see that satin finish a little bit more. Everything's a little more even. So I imagine after the third coat, it'll probably really start to look like what the finished floor looks like. But I figured I'd take you guys in so you can see the second coat, and then we'll kind of get rocking and rolling. So, hang on one second. All right, let's take a look. Sure wish you could smell it. So that's after second coat. You can definitely tell a little bit more uniformity. Even in the bedroom for sure. So we'll see what happens today after the third coat, but we're gonna throw on some slippers. We've got the Poly Mineral Spirit mix all ready to go from this morning, and we're just gonna get started.
Ready?
Good morning. So Dayna and I are about to start the fourth coat of poly. Here is a quick look at what it looks like after the third coat from yesterday. I'm not going to go in the house, so we'll just use these from the doorway shots each morning so you can see the difference. Here you go. All right, so this is after the third coat. You can start to see a little more uniformity across the whole floor. So we're about to, like I said, put on that fourth coat. And I don't think we're going to video much, so we'll bring you guys back and show you what it looks like after the fourth coat. Peace. Here we go. Round 5 of poly. This is pretty much all of the poly and mineral spirits that are left here. Although I feel like I want to put on a 6th coat, so.
And then a 7 and an 8.
You know, it's super early. We are, we're gonna bang out a 5th coat right now, and then we're gonna try and gear up for a big storm that I think is coming. Y'all thought spring was coming early. Nope. But before that big storm comes tonight into tomorrow, we're supposed to get maybe a foot of snow, which isn't too bad, but hopefully it'll melt fast with the warm weather coming, through the following week. But we figured bang out the 5th coat. If we maybe can figure out a way to get a 6th coat on there, let it dry over the weekend while the snow's here. And then that way we can start at the beginning of next week installing the hearth and putting the wood stove in, all that good stuff. But we'll take you in real quick as we normally do and show you guys what the floor looks like after the 4th coat. Hang tight. Sorry, I'm just taking you guys to the doorway, but all right. So those are the floors after the 4th coat.
Well, they got a nice sheen on them, baby.
Yeah, they look really pretty. Again, I know it's a little difficult to see all this, but at the end, we'll take you in. But yeah, you can tell, another beautiful day here at the Shabin. And it was nice yesterday.
I'm thinking there's like 4 inches on the ground already.
Yeah, it's been snowing for maybe like 2 hours, probably about 4 inches on the ground. I think we're going to get hit with a decent sized snowstorm today. But Dayna and I thought that while we wait for the polyurethane to dry in between coats, since it's so nice, we're going to get started on planting some tomato seeds down in the garden.
For a second, I'm like, what is he talking about?
We are actually on our way up to put another coat of polyurethane on the floor. We'll take you in and show you what it looks like after the 4th coat, which actually was what we showed you, I think, yesterday, because we wound up not putting a coat of poly on the floor. Believe it or not, I was a little disappointed in that last coat. It looked really nice, but when I got really close to the floor, there were some imperfections. So we wound up sanding the whole floor. You know, what I didn't want to do in the first place. But, you know, it wasn't taking a shortcut. It was just trying something different. Dayna's running to the house now. Man, there's definitely about 4 inches on the ground. But we're going to go in now. What we decided to do was wait a day. We sanded yesterday, and then we cleaned the floors. I don't have any video, but I just used, you know, the same pole that I'm using for the wool applicator. And then I just put a sanding block on the end and sanded the floor with like 240, I think, 220 or 244 or something.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah, whatever it takes, Dayna says. But we hit the floors up, then we cleaned up.
220. Sorry.
She's in rare form this morning. She's ready.
Mr. Mom.
She's been huffing poly. We're gonna go in there, and like I said, everything's all cleaned up. We did the sanding yesterday, cleaned up. And we were ready to poly yesterday, but it ended up being a long day. Coat is still not feeling really well. And we had to get a few other things done. But we're going to head in this morning, and we have a brand new wool applicator. I've been cleaning the other one with mineral spirits, but I kind of feel like either it was just not dry enough and it was putting the poly on too thick, or I put the poly on too thick, so I wasn't really happy. But we're going to go back with the new wool applicator today. And we brought the poly down to the Shabin this morning for a couple hours so that it could kind of warm up a little bit. And we got the mix now in 2 different jars. We shook it up about maybe 15 minutes ago, 20 minutes ago, so that we could mix it really well and then give it a few times for the bubbles to kind of settle. But we're going to go in now and we're going to do a really thin, what would be 5th coat. So our hope is if we do this thin 5th coat, we do have enough poly at this point that we can do a 6th coat if we need to. So we're going to do the 5th, and then we'll see how it turns out. But we'll bring you guys back when we're all wrapped up, and I'm sure at that point there'll be a foot of snow on the ground. So we'll catch up with you guys then. All right, peace. Good morning. So I'm going to jump in there and show you guys the floor. This is after the 5th coat of poly. This is after the 5th coat of poly. And we did go back and sand again. We were going to leave it as the final coat, and we hit it with 1,000 grit sandpaper. But I think I'm going to put one more coat on and see if I can get a nice kind of smooth finish. And then I'll hit that again, maybe a day or so from now with 1,000 grit to give it just kind of like a buff. And then we'll wipe it all down and be done. But I'm going to walk in real quick. I just got to get my slippers on, and I'll show you guys what it looks like now before we start what will be the final 6th coat. All right, so here are the floors after the 5th coat. You can see they look really nice. But there are definitely some streak marks that you guys probably can't see that I can. And I can't tell if they're necessarily from the last coat we just did or from the coat before. I would assume they're from the last coat. So we're going to do one more nice thin coat, a nice 1,000 grit buff, like I said, and then we'll just be done. And I think that Dayna and I will be very happy with how these turned out. Nice satin finish.
It's a shame you can't see the colors real good, but they're really beautiful.
Yeah, I know sometimes when I bend the camera over, it starts to kind of get a little wonky, but they're definitely like, you know, that oil-based American, early American definitely gives you a smidge of that, you know, amber color from it being the oil-based, but yeah, the floors look really nice. So yeah, we're gonna get started on that 6th coat, and then I guess we'll bring you back when the floors are all finished up and show you what the final product looks like. But so far, so good. So this is the 6th coat drying now. So we'll see what it looks like when it's all dried out. The bedroom is just starting to fade. So when everything's all dry, maybe tomorrow morning, I'll bring you guys back and show you the finished floors. All right, so while Dayna's gonna pull some breakfast together for us, I think I'm gonna walk up and take a look to see how we made out yesterday on the I think, what was the 6th coat of poly. And remember, these are all thinned coats with the poly and the mineral spirits. I think today on our last coat, we're actually going to cut it a little less. So it's a little bit more poly than mineral spirits. And let that be our final coat, and then I'll sand and buff. But I'm going to walk in and see. I came up to open the door earlier this morning because it was nicer outside today than it was inside. And I really wanted to warm up in here a little bit today so that hopefully, you know, everything kind of spreads a little bit better since it won't be so cold in here. But see if I can turn you around to see the floors before I put my slippers on. All right, so this is the floor this morning. It looks nice, but I can see, you know, a huge streak mark here. I'll tell you, man, I could not do this more to the book on how you're supposed to poly a floor, and I still am not super thrilled. I mean, the floor looks great, and we're really happy with everything, but it just blows my mind that you can follow directions to a T, other than the temperature, which I can't really control. I could warm it up in here, but it would take forever. But everything looks so nice. It's just those streak marks. There's no bumps. There's no, you know, there's not much of like a dust or film on top. It feels very smooth. It's just that streak. And I just can't, I imagine that it's a viscosity thing because of the temperature or maybe a dry situation. But anyway, I'm gonna put some slippers on and do the walk. And then I think I'm gonna hit this with a little bit of sandpaper, maybe some 400 on this layer before I do my last. And then on the last coat, maybe we'll do just the 1,000 if it comes out nice and smooth. But let me take a look. All right, guys, so 7th and final coat. We don't even care how it turns out. We're done. But this coat looks really nice. Hoping for a little bit less streaking just because of the temperature outside. And we did a 3/4 mix this morning. So it was 3/4 poly and 1/4 of the mineral spirits. And it looks like it's drying a little nicer. And we waited till kind of the height of the day to poly. So it's about 60 in here, which is amazing. Hopefully that helps out a little bit, but now it's just on to the rest of the day. Dayna's got a lot of work to do, so she's got to get started.
Chores.
Chores, baby, chores.
Shaving chores.
You guys ever hear that? Homestead chores, right? It's a real thing, right? Can you say if you heat your house with wood, you pretty much process firewood regularly? Today,
Do a little cleanup.
yeah.
Looks like Sanford and Son around here.
We say, what is it?
Shows our age.
It's an organized chaos.
Shows our age.
What, Sanford and Son?
Yeah.
You can call me Red, baby. Red Fox. So we're finished polyurethaning the floor. All said and done, it wound up taking 7 coats. Again, we didn't use just straight poly. It's a 50-50 poly mineral spirits mix. That's why there's so many coats. The last coat we did make a 75% poly, 25% mineral spirits, and we waited for the temperature to get a little bit nicer inside the house. You'll probably see that in the video a little bit, but we are all wrapped up. Dayna and I are really, really excited with how the floors turned out. They are certainly not perfect, but they are definitely perfect for us. Just in case, there's 4 videos, 2 installs, a stain, and this poly video for the flooring here. If you didn't watch them all, we used a 3/4 inch radiator ply sheet flooring. We did hand select like 30 some sheets to make it the nicest sheets that we could pretty much get. From there, we just used liquid nails to put the sheets down, and then we shot them to the floor with a 2-inch DeWalt angled nailer. When it was done, we feathered all the edges with a little DeWalt orbital sander. Then we hand stained like idiots the whole floor with just a rag, like basically a stain rag, and then a clean off rag, which we really didn't need too often because the floor soaked in the stain, and that's the color we were going for. If we did it all over again, we would have just used the lamb's wool applicators to stain the whole floor, standing up like normal people, because we're not 20 anymore.
We actually ended up using the same stain on the floor that we used on the shiplap ceiling, which wasn't the original plan, but when we tested out a couple different colors on like a scrap sheet of the radiated ply, we decided that the early American, it looked the best. It was coming out the color and shade that we were really looking for.
Yeah, it was a little tiny bit darker, and then with the, believe it or not, it actually turned out a little bit more amber. I don't know, it actually looks, now that I actually stand back and take a look at both of them, they kind of look identical.
But different. This has a satin polish sheen, and that's, you know, just a raw shade.
True.
So they have like a different dynamic to them.
We were going to do a dark walnut because we kind of wanted the floors a little bit darker. I'm glad we didn't go any darker than this. This was the color I was hoping for, but the dark walnut looked awful. So we stuck with the early American. It was a Varathane, same like Dayna said as the shiplap. And then the poly was the same, just a Varathane satin interior poly. But yeah, we just basically laid the sheets, hand stained it, and then we used the lamb's wool applicator to do the polyurethane mineral spirits mix. If I had to go back again, I would, like I said, or if I didn't say already, I would probably just poly the floor regular. I don't think I would use the white bond poly. Not that it doesn't work, but I wound up having to sand after like the 4th coat anyway, so I probably would have just been better off just doing straight polyurethane like a normal hardwood floor. But that's okay. I mean, it was fun for us to try something new, and hopefully you guys learned a little bit from this too. It definitely worked. I mean, 7 coats, and it probably took us about an hour each time to poly, which wasn't tough. Dayna would just pour the poly down, and then I would basically, spread it, and we were good to go. But we are really, really happy with how it turned out. We hope you guys have enjoyed the couple videos on the flooring. I know it probably could have been summed up into just one, but believe it or not, there's a lot more that we didn't show you. But we're really happy, and now we're going to get ready to...
It's a big check off having the floors done. A lot of things can start to happen now.
We can bring the wood stove. I mean, that's the big deal, and we've been saying it a bunch of times. I mean, we're literally ready for the stove to get in, which is just around the corner, literally. And in my truck right now that we picked up this morning are our interior doors, as well as the material we need to start building the hearth for the fireplace. So that'll hopefully be a video that's up and coming. We will leave you guys with maybe some pictures of the floor, best we can get. Dayna and I are just about to roll some paper out, some rosin paper over the floor so that we can get back to work inside. But it's coming together a lot faster now, and we're excited because we know that emptying our storage unit with some of our furniture is in the extremely near future. So that is definitely a light at the end of the tunnel, and the weather's starting to get nice, so that's always a good pick-me-up.
Yeah, that's all I got.
That's all Dayna's got. That's all she's got. But as always, we appreciate you guys stopping by and checking out the videos. We hope you guys enjoyed. Until next time, stay fly, and catch you soon.
See ya.
Peace.
So we just wrapped up the floors. We finished the 7th coat of the poly. I don't think Dave mentioned it in the videos before, so I'll just kind of review everything for you again. We used a 1/4 inch radiated pine, like cabinet grade plywood. 3/4 inch. 3/4 inch. We used the 3/4 inch when we start over.
What's wrong? Hey.